Good morning and welcome to Cyber Operations and Risk Management Briefing, presented by Alfred Hall. The presentation will be based on the following agenda: an introduction, software assurance, software development lifecycle, supply chain risks, vulnerabilities, software options and recommendations, supply chain options and recommendations, cost of these recommendations, and a conclusion that summarizes the findings of this report. Our organization has been hit with the Graviton ransomware attack, which pretends to be a warning from a country's law enforcement agency. This attack locks users out of their PCs and threatens criminal proceedings within 48 hours based upon very serious offenses. The message informs that in order to avoid prosecution, you need to pay a fine to the attackers via Bitcoin. Cyber attacks have become more prevalent in our world and have created significant impacts on many organizations when compromised. However, effective analysis of the baseline security issues and implementation of an incident response plan in managing cyber incidents can aid in minimizing attacks by ensuring faster detection and recovering from cyber attacks, leading to continuity of business operations. Our organization will implement a business continuity plan which incorporates issues of cyber attacks through virtualizations of computing infrastructure, employing experienced workers and first-line defense mechanisms. The business continuity plan will highlight the mission, needs, and systems for recovery of cyber attacks, including a ransomware attack. Software assurance seeks to reduce or remove vulnerabilities in order to increase confidence that software is able to be used securely and effectively. Software assurance involves every element that has the potential to touch any software. The objectives of software assurance must be developed and assessed at every level, as this determines an organization's exposure to risks. Software assurance also aids organizations in identifying redundancy or unnecessary information flows that can potentially lead to significant design deficiencies. In developing new software, we as an organization expect security considerations to be made in every phase of the software development lifecycle. Developers should embrace a holistic view of software development, building security in during all phases of the SDLC. The software development lifecycle is the process used by the software industry to design, develop, and test high-quality software. The SDLC aims to produce high-quality and secure software that meets or exceeds the organization's expectations as quickly and cost-effectively as possible. There are 7 phases of the SDLC that make the task of developing secure, functional, and high-quality software free from vulnerabilities. These 7 phases include planning, requirement, gathering and analysis, design phase, the development phase, testing, and then finally deployment and maintenance phase. Our organization has decided to use the Agile model for our software development due to the changing nature of financial services applications. We believe the Agile model will best suit our needs and provide us the best possible solution. By choosing this method, this offers the development team flexibility to divide tasks and complete them separately, which in turn allows the ability to concentrate on critical functions first without fully completing the entire software package. This method decreases the amount of time spent in making features available while still producing high-quality software for the organization. The Agile approach produces ongoing release cycles with each release featuring small incremental changes, which means fast failure in this model is a good thing. It helps enable teams to identify and address small issues before they evolve into more catastrophic problems and are built into the system. The choice of SDLC methodology should be appropriate to the nature of the project and expectations and needs of the organization. In the image below, we have 4 software development methodologies that are used in the software industry today. In order to deliver a secure software project to an organization, SDLC models assist in preparation by understanding the disadvantages of each model and when to appropriately use them will help in deciding which model best fits our organization needs. The models consist of the waterfall model, the prototype model, agile software development, and rapid application development. You can see by the image the advantages and disadvantages of each model. The pros to the agile methodology include an adaptive approach that responds well to changes. The agile methodology allows for better communication to increase project transparency, and the agile methodology improves chances of finding and fixing defects quickly. Cons in the agile methodology include lacking documentation efficiency, and there's an increased chance of getting off track if goals are not clear. Team 5 needed software that was free from malware and other defects. Team 5 vetted all vendors prior to installation of any software or hardware. Steps were taken to mitigate the identified supply chain risks. Identified risks included software history and licensing, development process management, software security and training, software development, supply chain options and recommendations. In order to be most effective in addressing sustainability issues, organizations can benefit from prioritizing their efforts based on the potential impact their suppliers have. They can assign a risk rating to each of their sourced products and services and applying heightened due diligence to categories identified as having a higher risk. A good practice in evaluating the impacts of the supply chain and implementing corrective actions includes looking beyond the first tier, extending supply chain sustainability programs past first tier suppliers allows companies to greatly enhance their positive impacts. The practice of analyzing impacts beyond the first tier is the practice of setting up traceability programs that have the ability to identify and trace the history, distribution, location, and application of products to ensure the reliability and sustainability claims. We can also develop a detailed understanding of the risk environment the supply chain creates and incorporate it into our organizational risk management activity. Finally, developing effective business continuity planning allows us to react swiftly and effectively to any disruptions in operations. Vulnerabilities that existed in the previous software could include SQL injections, buffer overflow, integer overflow, and of course ransomware. SQL injections leave the chance to inject malicious code into a SQL statement. Buffer overflow is a well-known security vulnerability. This occurs when a program tries to add more data in the buffer than its storage capacity allows. This can cause the program to crash, corrupt data, and even cause the execution of malicious code. Integer overflow exists when the calculation attempts to increment an integer value which is higher than the integer used to store it in the relevant representation. This weakness becomes security critical when the calculation result is used to handle the control looping, determines the size or offset in behavior, and make decisions. Lastly, a zero-day vulnerability is a software security flaw that is known to the software vendor but doesn't have a patch in place to fix the flaw. This makes implementing the agile development even more suitable for our organization to prevent this vulnerability from being exploited. When considering software options, it is important to incorporate testing at all stages of the development process. When selecting Agile over the other models to meet our organization needs, this gives us the ability to ensure that code is developed free from errors, which ultimately minimizes vulnerabilities in the final product. Once the entire project is completed, this means the release stage has been reached and the software is submitted for further testing. The organizational business environment. The developers or organizational technical team then establishes continuous monitoring of the software, fix any bugs, and ensure effective maintenance strategies are adapted. Software auditing is necessary when assessing the practice of development, and several testing and layers including the unit testing, component testing, system and security testing, and acceptance testing, thus helping minimize the risks of cyber attacks due to vulnerabilities discovered in the software products. Total software assurance increases front-end software costs, but the costs are made up for in the back end by having a more secure quality product. It is worth doing agile development because the result is often a more effective piece of software. By implementing agile, this allows us to adjust our approach based on our organization's needs after every iteration and adding pieces to the software over time. Agile helps us identify the core functionality the client needs early in the development process. Agile projects can be faster and less expensive than their waterfall counterparts. Clients get the best of both worlds from agile development: a better end product, quicker and less expensive than other models. It is important that agile budget and timeline estimates are collaborative. Everyone from developers, managers, executives, and the clients concerned business units needs to be involved. By releasing early and often, this reduces risks for our organization since it is simple to track progress and make changes. Agile can respond to changing business needs, and with collaboration, good agile estimation can reduce the risk for our organization. Procurement language for supply chain cyber assurance. Any procurement contract should include language indicating that the supplier shall represent and warrant that it has established and implement security standards and processes that must be adhered to during all equipment and product development activities. In addition, the supplier shall represent and warrant that it has developed and continues to maintain a comprehensive written security program that contains administrative, technical, and physical safeguards to ensure the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of all systems. In addition, the supplier should demonstrate that systems and data are protected by appropriate network security controls that prevent intrusion of the network. In addition, the supplier should warrant that the products and services that have the capability to perform remote system maintenance, software upgrades, troubleshooting, and diagnostic shall provide technical documentation on these capabilities, which shall have the following at a minimum: strong authentication mechanisms for access to products and services, mechanisms to perform any remote software downloads or validated as an uncompromised supplier deliverable, and validated as an unaltered supplier deliverable, validated that only action is performed, and validated that it does not provide access to any other systems except for the purpose of updating the software to a supplier deliverable. Finally, the supplier shall provide detailed installation, deployment, and configuration instructions, and at the request of the client, assistance in installation, deployment, and configuration. The supplier warrants meets the expected security context resulting from meeting the requirements in this document. All supplied software products shall be authenticated through code signing, In conclusion, when deploying software into into an organization, it is imperative to have software security assurance to mitigate any risks in exploitable software and supply chains by building security into your organization's development process at every phase of the software development lifecycle. Another way to mitigate risks of getting bad software is by organizations doing due diligence when purchasing any software from outside vendors and having procurement language attesting to the security of the software. Last, by implementing a business continuity plan within the organization, this ensures operations run smoothly following a cyber attack while the recovery phase is underway.